Producer Tom Dowd is one of the most significant players in the Allman Brothers band orbit outside of the guys playing on stage. Trust me, I'm a doctor.
Continuing the discussion about non-musicians and their impact on any band that you listen to, and does with any longevity. There were just always crucial people in the career of any artist. Provide support along that journey, and in this case, this is Tom Dowd right in the center, the producer, their go-to producer for everything that they did that was super successful, with the exception of Brothers and Sisters. Dowd produced Atlantic Records. Allman Brothers. Capricorn Records was a subsidiary of Atlantic Records, and Walden was in partnership with Jerry Wexler of Atlantic in Capricorn Records. So this is how Tom Dowd got into the mix with the Allman Brothers. Dowd's got a fascinating backstory. He worked on the Manhattan Project during World War II, to develop the atomic bomb. He became, for a long time, he was an engineer at Atlantic Records there in New York City. Just was known for having super good ears, and that's the important part for the Allman Brothers. I'm going to talk about in just a second. But was on the boards for Ray Charles records that were recorded at Atlantic. He was on behind the boards for some John Coltrane stuff, and whole era of successful Atlantic he was a part of, and then he made the transition extremely well into rock. Dowd was not available for the Allman Brothers' first album, their self-titled album that they recorded at Atlantic in New York City. For whatever reason, I don't remember the reason why, but he was available for Idlewild South. And the story goes, it's the story I put in Play All Night, is he was in Macon, doing some business with Capricorn, doing some business with Phil Walden, heard the Allman Brothers band rehearsing. This was maybe going to be like February of 1970. They were rehearsing for what became their second record, Idlewild South. They were together probably 11 months at that point. And he stopped in his tracks and says, "Stop right now, get them to me in Miami, they are ready." That was how well the band was going as they rolled into the recording of Idlewild South. Which is what they did. They ended up going down to Criteria Studios. I'm pretty sure that's what this photo is from. That's Dickie on right above my head here, Tom Dowd in the middle, and Duane. I don't know who the other dude is. I think this is from Criteria recording Idlewild South, their second record. And I'll tell you this, I wrote a book on Fillmore East as the breakthrough album and how well it represented Duane and the Allman Brothers sound in the manner that the band wanted it to be. It reached audiences the way they wanted to reach audiences. Idlewild South got overlooked. I mean, it did get pretty high in the charts. It hit number 38. This Reed did get some play. The Revival got a tiny bit, not a lot. But the record wasn't this breakthrough given how exciting the band was and live. But in hindsight, you listen to it and you're like, God damn, this is a good record. And it's surprising it didn't break through. Why they didn't issue Midnight Rider as a single, perhaps it sounded too country, but that was the single on that record for me. And they did release it later. They released it after Fillmore East comes out. One thing that happened on Idlewild South is J-Mo played percussion. I don't know if he played percussion exclusively, but he played it a lot and didn't play a lot of drums. The idea was to tame the sound down, I think, a bit, capture it on record, and get a record that would sell. I want to read a quote I came across from J-Mo talking about Dowd, and this is where I'm going to bring it into Fillmore East in just a second. But he talked about how meticulous Tom Dowd was in the studio. He would walk around in there with his little meter, and he would go around to each instrument and listen to what it sounded like. He'd go back to the center of the floor, walk around some more, and then go back to the control room. Instead of going in there and turning knobs and trying to make things sound the way he thought they should sound, he simply brought the sound that was in the studio into the control room. Nobody else did that. Dowd worked with the band on Idlewild South, then at Fillmore East, then Eat a Peach. He took a long break after that. Johnny Sandlin produced both of their next two records, Brothers and Sisters and Win, Lose, or Draw. Dowd was back behind the boards for 1979's Enlightened Rogues. Not for the two Arista records in 1980-81, and then in 1990 through all the way through 1994, when they reformed and started putting records out again, he was their producer on their live records as well as on their studio records. So just this super long lineage with them. Here's what was always interesting to me, and I wrote this in the book. I had one person come at me about this, like I was dissing Tom Dowd, and under no circumstance am I dissing Tom Dowd. Here's the thing about that record, At Fillmore East. Tom Dowd, this was the most important record in Duane Allman's career, in the band's career. They were pretty sure they were going to break up the band if At Fillmore East wasn't successful. And Tom Dowd was there by accident. Tom Dowd was in Africa, recording music in Africa with American artists, whatnot. He was supposed to, I think, fly to London to do something, and when he got to Paris, London was snowed in, so he said, hell, I'll fly back to New York. Flew back to New York, calls up and says, this is March, this would be March 11th. Calls up the Atlantic Studio, says, hey, what's going on? I'm back in town, just letting you know. And they're like, well, you know what? The Allman Brothers are recording downtown at Fillmore East. Dowd wasn't supposed to be there. Now, here's two things about that. First, I had to think about this myself. What is a producer's role on a live album, on any album, right? The producer is like an extra member of the band. Sometimes they play instruments, oftentimes they don't. But they are there to help the band, to help bring out from the band what the band wants to accomplish. That's a real simple way to say it. It's a very, very symbiotic relationship. And it's why when artists switch producers, they're looking for somebody to tell them something slightly different. There's a myriad reasons for it. I don't need to get into that. And Dowd had done his work with them on that. Like, that's what Idlewild South was, and would work the songs out on the road, Duane and the band, and they would be like, it's not quite there. Let's go play a couple weeks. We'll come back, and we'll tackle it again. So Dowd had already done all his work with them. The Allman Brothers arrangements were done. The songs were done. They were locked in. He didn't really need to be there between shows necessarily. The serendipity is two things. Number one, Tom Dowd was a brilliant fucking engineer. Brilliant. And that motherfucker has the room dialed in. Fillmore East dialed in. The second thing, though, more important to me, the Allman Brothers had made the decision to bring Juicy Carter in to join them on this set. And Juicy did not have a good feel for the Allman Brothers music. And Dowd said, can it, Duane? This is not the time to try that. And the beauty of that for the whole thing, the beauty of that for the entire discussion is that Liz Reed that we get on At Fillmore East. Note fucking perfect. 10 times better than what they put on Idlewild South, which is actually not bad if you go back and review it. But everything else, every other Liz Reed from that weekend has Juicy Carter on sax. So Tom Dowd, I mean, just a genius. I'm not even getting into all the other things that he did with them. I saw that quote, thought about how much I love the sound of that record and all he did. And, he's the, seventh member of the band in that era. Tom Dowd, At Fillmore East, long live the Allman Brothers Band.